Hey everyone, welcome back to M&O Coding. Today we are going to be covering loops. What are loops? Loops allow us to repeat blocks of code over and over without copying and pasting. In Python, we get two main loops. We get for loops and while loops. So we're going to get right into it. Open up your IDE and create your project file. So I'm going to name mine loops.py and we're going to jump into it. So, the way we're going to start in for loops, and so the syntax for loop is going to be for, you can use variable, and we're going to use range for our example, so range of int, and then semicolon with our code goes here. So for, let's just say I in range of 5, we're just going to print out I. So what this is going to do is it's going to start off with I equals 0. Then it's going to say, now I, after it runs this, I is now equal to 1. Then it's going to run this, I is now equal to 2, 3, 4, and when it gets to 5 is going to fail in this because of the indexing is based. So if I'm right, let's run this. And we see here, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So computers often use a zero-based indexing. So because I starts at 0, 0 is the first value, 1 is the second value, 2 is the third, 3 is the fourth, and 4 is the fifth. So now if we wanted to print 1 through 5, we can just print I plus 1. So now we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can see that down there at the bottom. So another way that we can use our for loop is something like this. So we want to print out our, let's just say, our age. And we want to print out all the years we went through up to our age. So we're going to say age is 20. So for our I in range of 20, I want to print out I plus, or I. So this is going to cover all of the values up until 20. So if we run this again, we're just going to come here, give us a new line so we can get a better look at this. So if we scroll through here, you can see we start at 0, then we turn 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up until 19, and then we turn 20, which is not going to, it's not going to print on there. Another thing we can do is we have a data structure that is called an array or a list. So we have a list of fruits, and let's just say we have apples, we have bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A. We have cherries. We have oranges. What's another fruit? We have strawberries. And we can continue going, but we're just going to start that. So we can say for our variable name is going to be fruit. In our fruits list, we want to print our fruit. So what this is going to do is now it's going to print apple, banana, cherry, orange, strawberry. And so let's see if it does that. Apple, banana, cherry, orange, strawberry. Perfect. So why is a loop helpful? So let's just take that last example we did. And so before loops, we would have to write something that looks like this. Print our fruits at index 0. We have to print fruits at index 1. Print fruits at index 2. Print fruits at index 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. So we got to do one more. Print fruits at index 4. So this will get us the same output here, but what happens if you have, or you add in another fruit? So another fruit might be a blackberry. So now if we run this, you can see that this loop is already adding in our blackberry fruit on there. It runs that one more time. But now we have to go in here and then add in that other print statement. So now we have to end fruits, index of 5. And so now we get both codes to run the same structure. So without loops, we would have had to print with 6, or write out all these 6 statements to get the same output that we got in 2 lines. So it cuts down on repetitiveness, and just like in our conditionals, this saves us a lot of time and the way that you can structure this. So in our conditionals, if we had an if-else or an else-if, we can use that rather than if and then writing another if and then writing another if. It saves some time there. It cuts a lot of time because as you grow into bigger projects, your lists are going to be hundreds of data or inputs long, and you're not going to want to write 100 inputs here. And then if you delete one, now you have to remove a print statement here, because what happens if you try and print outside of the indexes that are on there? You can see that we get an error. This is an out of index, out of range. There is no 6th index in this list, so we get an error. So doing it in a loop, it will allow us to auto update our code. It'll only print the values that we have. If we update our list or add to our list, our loop will print through it all. So we talked about how we had 2 loops. We had our for loops and we had our while loops. So this is an example of our for loop. What is a while loop? So we're going to have a variable called count, and that's going to be equal to 0. And the structure for this is going to be while our count is, let's just say, less than 5. And then semicolon, we're going to print counting count. And then count plus equals 1. What this statement right here is saying is just count is equal to count plus 1. This is a way that, again, you can save time writing code. It makes it a lot easier to read. So what is this going to do for us? You can see we counted 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it did the same thing as this first for loop that we had, but it had some separate structure. So why would you use a while statement over a for loop is that sometimes you don't want your loops to run a exact amount of times. So, for example, let's say you went on a walk and you were planning on walking to the bakery, which is 30 steps ahead. So you would have had 4 steps and range, let's just say 30. It goes all the way through there. But what if on the bakery you realized that you needed to go to a printer store? In a while loop, you can cut your loop short. So instead of having to backtrack here, so I've already gone to 30, but I need to go 15 paces back to go to the other store, I can stop it when I realize that I need to go to the other store. So it allows you to shortcut your loops a little earlier. It'll save you some time doing that, so you don't have to constantly go back and forth on your for loops trying to get an accurate thing. One thing you do need to be careful with is avoiding an infinite loop. So in while loops, you can have infinite loops. Super simple. Like, let's say while count is greater than greater than -1. And then we're gonna print the same count, or we're gonna do the same thing. So what's gonna happen here? So, oh my goodness. So you can see that it just keeps going. And that is not fun to deal with, because eventually you don't want this to run an infinite amount of times. So you have to be careful of that. Another example of case examples is you want to greet 5 users or keep asking for a password until it's correct. It makes it easy, because like we talked about with this, you want to get 5 users and they put in the password. Is the password correct? No. So we're going to keep going through this. Is it correct? No. We're going to keep going through this. Is it correct? No. We're going to keep going through this. And that'll keep going until they get the password correct. So let's write that out. So password is just password. And then while, and then we're just going to create an is password. So is it correct? We're just going to start with false. So while is password, or not is password. Remember, you got to put this in your just equals false. I'm not going to try and mess around with that too much right now. We're going to input what is the password. So we're going to run this. Whoops, I forgot to take out this. See how annoying your infinite loops can be? We'll run this again. So what's the password? I don't know. Well, what's the password? Password. I don't want to do it quite yet. Maybe it's counting. Is it M and O coding? No. Is it? Is it what is the password? No. Is it password? Oh, see, I forgot to put in the conditional. So if user pass is going to equal that. So if user pass equals password, then we're going to is password equals true. So let's run that again. Is it a guess? Is it M&O coding? Is it password? Perfect. So the moment that I got that password correct, it stopped this loop and it jumped me back into the code. While as in a for loop, it had a finite amount of runs in the range that I had to go. While in a while loop, I had a conditional that allowed me to jump out of it when it was finally met. So before we end today's video, we're gonna do a quick coding challenge. So we are gonna write a for loop that prints every number from 2 to 20, and then we're gonna do the same thing in a while loop. So there's a couple ways that we can do this. In the same way that we printed out this, we could do a for I in range. Let's just say 20 to start off with, and we're gonna print. Oops, I forgot my parentheses. Print I plus 2, because remember, we start at 2. So this will go to 0 to 19, then we add 2, that'll go to 0 to 21, and we are trying to go to 0 to 20. So we want this in a range of 0 to 19. So we write that. Let me password, and then let's see here. We started at 2, and we ended at 20. Perfect. And then let's do this for a while loop. So count, with the while loop, it makes it really easy. So count can be at 2. So while count less than 21, we are going to print count. And then if we just ran this from here, count never gets incremented, so count will always be less than 21, and we'll have an infinite loop. So this is what we have to do, count plus equals 1. So what's this doing again? It's just saying count is equal to count plus 1. So after the first loop, count is now 3, then 4, then 5, so on and so forth. So if we run this, password, so we get, this is our for loop, we get our 0 to 20, and then we get our 2 to 20. Perfect. So that's our for loop, and that is our while loop. let's do one more challenge before we end today's video, and we'll use a simple for loop. And we're going to make a little triangle that looks something like this. So we're going to do this again in a for loop and a while loop. So for, let's just say I in range, and we're going to actually do a height. Now, I know what's height? Height is going to be an input we get from a user. How tall would you like your pyramid, I guess. Or I guess it's triangle to be more precise. Triangle. How tall would you like your triangle? Perfect. So, we're going to start off with print. And then here, we'll do our here. Dot. Is there a repeat? Oh, guys, I'm forgetting my Python syntax. What? Let's see here. Give me just 1 second. I had it pulled up. There we go. That's what it was. Then we can just times I. But we don't want just I, so we're going to write I plus 1. Because it would have started out at 0. So if we want a height of 4, it'll start off by printing 1, 2, 3, 4. But if we let that be, it would have just printed our 1, 2, and 3. So let's give this a run. Let's run our password. How tall do I want a triangle? I want it 5 tall. Oop. Oh, I guess that's true. Input, how tall do I want my triangle? And then I want this to be an int on this here. I want it 5. So we got our 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's do the same in our while loop. So, while, let's get our count variable. So count is equal to 1. Or I guess, yeah, we'll start off 1. And then while our count is less than height, but I guess we're going to go int height. We're going to print that same statement. So print our hashtag times our times our count. Then we're going to count plus equals 1. Another way that you could write this is count plus plus. I guess that's a Java thing. Never mind. So we get our count plus equals 1. So we run this, put in that password. We want it 5 tall. And so you see here, but we got the 4, 3, 2, 1. So our logic here was off a little bit. So we want that less than or equals to our height. So we're going to try this again. Password. We want it, let's make it big this time. We're going to do 15. So our for loop, we already knew worked, so we got it all the way out to 15, and we got it all the way out to 15 with our while loop. Perfect. All right, guys, that's everything that I have for you guys today. If loops felt like a little magic tool that you got, hit that like button and subscribe button. Next, we're going to be talking about functions and how to organize your code like a pro. So we're going to see you in the next one. Have a good one.